So when you actually deliver the technique, there's also a couple of considerations. A movement can have kind of a explosive, kind of compressive. Let's say I'm making back to straight. I can make back to strike this way, like that, or I can make back to strike that way. Right? It can be like I can be like heavy like that. I'm not going to hit them because that's a very resounding going in feeling. So I've just found this key, but it's that feeling. Okay, or it can be that feeling. So your kick can have the same. Your kick can have a snapping feeling like that, or it can have a cutting feeling, a snapping feeling, or a cutting through feeling. You follow what I'm saying? So let's try that. We'll try it with ground kick. So we'll make either a jolt-on or maybe a low. If you're not comfortable high, you can kick low, but this one has that kind of grippiness at the end, like a chop. Just like this has kind of a chop feeling. The other one going to be more like heavy, cutting through, like heavy, cutting through feeling. Okay, let's do it. Try it. So those are two ways of getting power, like a snapping kind of compression movement and a penetrating movement. I would also say that your breath should have kind of the same characteristic. So if you're making a kind of like the compression movement, your breath has like this feeling, like that feeling. When you're making a through movement, your breath is more like it's more elongated, like that feeling. So it's like so making this kick, try not to hold your breath. No, you want to be more like let your breath go through, just like breath goes through. So the breath has the same feeling as the technique has. Just follow what I'm saying? And you can do that with anything. You know, punching can be, you know, like through, or it can be that feeling, kicking, that feeling, or that feeling. It's like I'm in a bubble and I'm pushing against the surface of that bubble. So when you're here like this, it's like that feeling pushing out. Then if I relax that outward pushing feeling, my arms want to actually come in. So I'm going to use that change of potentials, the outward potential, relaxing to the inward potential, to actually make that movement. It's like out here, like pressing out, and then coming in. Like, no different than... You understand? That's my body, like pressing in. Then this next hip movement is not away. It's actually in. It's not. This is away. This is in. Now it looks kind of similar because my body is turning more that direction. But I want you to notice this is away. This is in. So I'm going in, not away, not away. This is contradicting myself. I'm pulling my feeling back as I'm pushing out with my arm. You can still counter-rotate the technique, but you should still have an in feeling, not an away feeling. You see what I'm saying? Kind of dig your body into that movement. Press in. It's really important not to get stuck there and think that that's the correct way. That's just a particular phase you're going through to learn the coordination of the movement. Later, it's like all one feeling, like a lock and snap. In the beginning, it's two movements. I learned how to coordinate putting the edge of my body in my block and then putting the edge of my body in the punch. So a beginning person is going to practice two movements till it gets very natural. But more advanced person, not going to be two movements. Just going to be and then you want to speed this up. Speed this up. This is your driver. Like snap. Stepping. Yeah, the beginning person going to learn to step this way, then learn to step that way. But more advanced person just comes in. Just comes in. So everything rides off the momentum of the previous technique. Okay.
thing, I'm going to pull it back really relaxed. So even if when he does get a hold of it, it's kind of like he's grabbing nothing. Like if this hand is kind of tight in its retraction, then he actually has a little bit of me because I'm giving it to him. I'm being tight. When I'm tight, he has connection to my body. But when I put my hand back relaxed, and this is like grabbing a paper bag. It's hard to grab a hold of it. It's like you need nothing there. Does that make sense? So as your hand comes back at the right timing, have like zero power, have like no energy in it, not tight, just sort of coming back, just kind of soft. And then the takedown part too, I'm not going to get really tight against him because then you can resist that. So this is going to be also sort of soft, but with a connection, just like punching, like connection to your center, the softness has a connection to my center. So, like connectedness. Like you're shaking out a rug. You know, you shake out a rug. You know, you can picture that. Like when I'm shaking out a rug, I'm exhaling and I'm kind of connecting. That feeling. So that's sort of a little bit this feeling. Okay. Most that tries. So keep your hand really relaxed. That's the carrot. Like you're getting a person to kind of overextend and break their center. So now, partner going to do the same grab. I'm going to go back that way like that. But don't pull your arm back. Pull your hip back. Whatever you hip. Just go over the top of his hand like that. And your elbow is going to be pretty close to your body, so you're not doing it too much from up here, but doing it more down there, just like if you're punching or anything. So like that. Then I'm going to come alongside him. And then go like that. Okay. So he grabs. Back alongside. So it's a pretty big step. So you could step straight back, but you make the distance longer in the turn because that curve has more length to it. So you're going to curve and inside, and then goes like kind of catch his middle in the line. And tight. When you make the throw him like we were talking about earlier with your center. So it's like a feeling just moving your body in. I'm throwing with my arms. I'm kind of throwing with the deflection of my steps. Like that. Okay? But close it tight. If you feel weird about the akemi, you don't have to take it all the way to the rolling part. When people talk about yarimi or entering in, they're not just talking about physically entering in, they're really talking about kind of throwing your spirit out there and just like speed is being there. Like my feeling is way out there, and then my body just gets sucked into the back end of that feeling. You understand what I'm saying? So it would be completely the opposite of kind of moving with a degree of fear and trepidation. It's actually just like shoulders down. I want to go way out there. If I go way out there and then at the last minute I think of him, my way out there comes rushing back to my advance, and that's when we get stuck in a strap. Do you follow what I'm saying? Yes. So I would say that's one thing. Yarimi is not just physically moving in, it's mentally moving in. You're cutting through. The second thing is, you want to kind of uproot your partner, so you want to be just a little bit underneath his leg. Like, I don't want to necessarily bump into him, because now I'm still moving in, but this is not as efficient as it could be. I would really like my center kind of go, dunk. So I'm gonna, and again, getting down low and kind of digging in is always kind of a good thematic thing. Like you don't really punch like that, right? You punch like low, right? So I'm gonna kind of come in pretty low, and I'm gonna get under him, and I'm just a little bit of a boost up with this leg as I'm advancing, kind of float to center, then keep moving in. See, I didn't feel any place in that movement where I had any more energy than the next. Everything just sort of made the next thing happen with a kind of a consistent feeling, which is a different way of thinking. In karate, we usually don't think of consistent feeling. We think of the contrasts of feeling. Relaxation, tension, right? But in this, it's like different. It's like smooth it all out, so there's no one place that has any grade or anything. It's almost all the same feeling, you know, even to the end, the same feeling. Okay? Yeah, so try to think like that. Give it a try again. Okay, so here you go. Okay, so now another concept that I thought about a lot is how do you, like, there's a certain beauty in how water just moves around stuff, you know. And it's like, that just kind of flows, so your body kind of really loose. So, and then sometimes I say I'm going to make a punch, and he's going to block and say, Shotokan. That. Okay, so at that point, I've been kind of nullified. But when I train with Hotton Sensei, when you're working with the sword, if someone blocks your sword, then you got a big opening. But if they block your sword and their block becomes your next cut, like picture that, he's blocking my sword, and his hitting my, like his spiral block blocks my sword, but when he blocks, I just go into I just make that block my cut. You follow what I'm saying? The block becomes the cut. Then I'm not stuck here with an opening. So just to kind of get that feeling a little bit, as he blocks, I'm going to now just fill that space. Like that. So my definitive punch now has an amorphicness note to it. Relax. Relax. So it's not stuck. In its want to, it's not stuck. It just moves, it catches the next moment without, they would say, taikimusu, like it adapts to the next moment. So, boom, I'm just going to wrap and make that same shape. So I'm going to wrap and make the same shape. And I think that too has a lot of life metaphors, like something doesn't work right, you know, instead of being all upset, you just fill the next spot. You just keep moving in. That's the warrior thing, right? So I'm going to, boom. So here we are. And as she does her block really slow, I want to feel the linking of our arms, like her little koki, like this little thing that she's doing here is this thing here. I'm waiting because I have to use her. I'm not doing it. She's doing it. You see that? I'm using her energy to drive my elbow, not my arm doing it. And that's kind of, I would go really slow maybe a couple times and just feel like her energy was causing me to go in. You follow? Yeah, try that again. And sometimes karate people have a little difficulty with that because we're so trained to step, you know, or in some sort of formalized way. But sometimes you just have to move. Situation can be really fluid. You just got to learn to move and be fluid with your partner. So wherever your partner goes, you're to Masubi, it's just connection. So I'm just connection. And I'm just like right here on him. There's a lot, boom, you know, whatever, you know. All sorts of things. You follow what I'm saying? And then he gets up. I'm still practicing my connection. I'm still like glue on him. Try it again. Kind of get that. Don't ever let it go. Don't ever let it go. Is that a lot of times when people punch, they're really concerned with the punching component, and so that's the one that has sort of overbearing. So they'll punch, but they'll not really have. What you want to do when you punch is the feeling of the end of my hand in the punch, like that inflection, is the same inflection my heel at that instant feels against the ground. So you're actually kind of pushing down and back, like at the very end of the punch, it's like kind of sitting into that foot. So that push, this push and that push coincide. Boom, boom, like a little resonance right at that spot. Do you follow what I'm saying? So it's like down. So when you do this movement and you're pushing out of this thigh, You want to get that feeling, that's the kind of explosiveness from that contracted space to the expanded space is that push of the back foot down. So when I'm making the Jodan ski, this is, then when I'm blocking here, this is like push here, like compress, not relax. Compress, and then like push. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So as I'm pushing out with my punch, I'm pushing back with my leg. Just like that feeling. That feeling. Try to get that, not just a punch. Do the same high punch, and he's going to make a rising block. When he makes a counter strike, I'm going to actually come right from my rising block into like a Shotokan. So normally, you know, you draw the hand back like that, but for the sake of expediency, if the punch comes, it has to just be right there. But the feeling you get when you open your body up and close it in basic technique, you can start to now get the same feeling in a really abbreviated movement. But sometimes it's hard to just do the abbreviated movement and get the principle because it's so soft at that point. Do you follow? Okay. So we're going to try that again. I'm going to go Inambarai and then so this kind of tight. Then this push comes back. So rising block. So make rising block. Then forearm block. And push with the back leg. That feeling. Okay? Let's give that a try easy with your partner. Try to get that dynamic. Where your ambition would be to go from like the physical shape of the movement to the inside feeling of the movement. So that's sort of the progression. Then later going to be sort of your spirit and how you're extending that feeling. So, but everybody starts with this. And the thing is that you've got to get past just moving your arm. Like even if you're doing a rising block and a punch and you're articulating that correctly, even if I'm doing it fast, it has no inside resonance. And what I'd like you to kind of think about is, say you had a beach ball, which is your body naturally just inflated. And I push on it and then it pushes back. I push on it and it pushes back. So that little bit reverberation in your body is kind of what you want to feel from transitioning from technique to technique. So when you're doing the rising block, even the guy that's doing the block and counter, he's got a little bit of that going on too. So when he does a rising block, instead of just blocking with your arm like that, this is like my body opening a bit, and then my body closing. That feeling. Do you follow what I'm saying? You can do it slow. You can still do it slow, but this feeling is like stretch. My shoulder's down, but my feeling is stretch, and then my next feeling is like collapse. But then you put that collapsation under some pressure, and that becomes the kime of your punch. So you guys that are doing this movement, same idea. When you're pulling to the Shotokan, this feeling is like, my back is straight. This is all my carriage is, I'm not like that, okay? So, but this feeling in my body is pushing in on the beach ball. Pushing out. Pushing, push out. Pushing, push out. In, out. Okay? So try to get the inside thing added to the shape thing. Okay. A couple things in the composition of your body when you do that, the forearm block. So I'm here like this. When you make the punch, your body is kind of open, it's expanded. In other words, you're pushing power sort of away from your center. Even though my center is connected, I'm kind of pushing out from my center. That's, of course, Oitsuki is pushing out from my center. When he punches, this is like pulling into my center. Just like this expanding away, compressing in. You see what I'm saying? So one of the things you want to be careful of, you don't have the same feeling in your body. That would happen, say, if you just kind of went like that. See, I moved my hip, but there wasn't any change in the compressiveness and openness of my body. So I'm here, you want to be like, that feeling, compress, not just flaccid. Okay? So when you're compressing your body, like you're going from, say, an expanded position to a compressive position, it's everything is reeling up to its axis. So my stance is kind of coming into its axis. My body is coming into its axis. Even my hands, like my hand is doing the same thing. Like my hand is kind of pulling. Everything coming, getting ready to go. So the hand, even every inch of your sinew is doing thematically what you want to be doing. Contracting. That's why the shoulders are down. That's why you're not like that. Because your body's doing that. Your stance is doing that. Your grip is doing that. So now everything is got its maximum potential built up. And then from that, then push out. Compress, push out. Try to get that inside feeling. So the next thing, when you're leading your partner's intention, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're actually giving them something that they can. Okay, and that's just it. What you want to do is you want to feel like as though you're giving them something. So when he grabs, you see what I'm saying? I mean, how many times have you played that game with your nephew? Here. You follow? And you're really good at it when you're at the family picnic. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is when he's grabbing you. He makes the grab. Same feeling. He makes the grab. Follow? And the difference is at the family picnic, you're having fun, you're relaxed, you're very natural. You're not fighting, right? So try to see if you can adopt that mindset. Okay. Grab. I'm watching you guys a little bit. When he grabs, I see a lot of people do that. Who's leading whose intention? You follow what I'm saying? So if somebody grabs, I mean, when he grabs and I get tight, he now is dictating what's going on, okay? Because he's controlling my physiology in essence, okay? When he grabs and I look, he's controlling my psychology. You follow? So you don't want either of those things going on. When he grabs, you want to be really relaxed. When he grabs, you don't want to look. You just want to just be. Do you follow? So when you're practicing with your partner, it's always this ebb and flow of both people's intentions. That's why Japanese talk about space in a different way. We talk about space very Newtonian, just the distance between us. Japanese dojo are going to talk about space filled with stuff, intention. Okay, I'd like you to open up to those ideas a little bit. Okay, when you're practicing with your partner, you're going to feel when he makes his advance, he's going to be leading things, but then how does that situation change? Do I basically give him it? Do I become the person leading? Okay? You guys saw the movie Dead Poet Society? You know what I'm talking about? Okay, there was I love that movie. It had some great scenes in that movie. And one of the scenes was he had everybody outside walking. And as they were walking, kind of being themselves, at some point they started adopting everybody else's movement. And all of a sudden they were marching together. It's called entrainment. We feed on the group think. All of a sudden we're falling into a metronomic thing that just we're inclined to do. Okay, so when you're practicing these movements with your partner, there's nothing really spontaneous about entrainment. Okay, so when you're practicing, you don't want to be standing here with your partner going, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand. Do you follow? There's nothing natural about that, okay? And I would equate that to, very robotic karate has a feeling of entrainment to it. Everything should be completely new. So someone says, hey, do that technique again. I don't think I can do that technique again. That technique was that technique. Now this technique is this technique. I'm totally connected to what I'm doing now, and then it's gone, and I'm on to the next thing. You want that feeling to sort of be the vibe that informs your karate, okay? So when you're working with your partner in these sort of movements and you're making a grab, I mean, every grab should be totally new. And it shouldn't be a left, right. Mix it up a little bit. And even when you're attacking, think, this moment is like no other moment. Do you follow what I'm saying? Now, and then take that concept and now add to that this, and that is that in karate, when we're in kumite, this is very much like I'm focusing my attention on my partner. I mean, that is the karate look. When you step and you face somebody, you have this sort of thing, right? Okay, but what I'd like you to do, this is, you know, there's two ways of shooting archery in Japanese archery. One is you focus on the target, and then you let the arrow go to the target. The other one is you actually keep a neutral frame of mind, and then you're more concentrating on the moment when it feels right to just let go. That's like that would be considered the more Zen aspect of the archery. Do you follow? So when he goes to grab, instead of being like, okay, I'm ready, and now I'm pulling my hand away, you want to be just thinking very relaxed and more globally with your mind. Like I'm not focusing on him going, okay. And just move. Feel the moment. Okay? Thank you. Those two things. Again, go back to the idea of leading your intention. When you're moving, you're going like this, and I'm like, he's still taking my intention. You follow what I'm saying? So when I move, when I do my diverting movement, my feeling is just, it's neutral. It's like zero power. I'm not diverting and looking. It's not like that. You see that? It's more like that. Nothing. Nothing. Follow? No. Okay, give it a try. So every dojo has technique. Everything we're doing, you know, anywhere you go, everyone's pretty much learning karate in what would amount to as being a similar fashion. But the paradigm that you put that in, that can change a lot. And so your psychology and your feeling in your body, how that is sort of operating as almost like a subtext to the technique, that's really what makes it accurate. That's what's going to make it effective. You understand what I'm saying? And so a lot of times overcoming these sort of conditioned responses, and of course the two big ones are going to be self-preservation. Someone attacks you, you get naturally fearful, and you're under a anxiety sort of situation. The second one is going to be, and the training, when you watch your dojo mates practice, it becomes really apparent. Your personality is very hard to hide in the dojo. I don't know if you observed that, but you can just see people's, everybody has a certain type of energy. And everyone has, I mean, the ego's not a bad thing, but it's, you know, it's the thing that gets people stuck in that situation where you push me, I push you, and we're kind of locked in this thing. And now, as martial artists, people that are actually observant, you recognize that's a horrible place to be. That's not how to overcome conflict. Do you follow what I'm saying? So when you're training, of course, your self-preservation can cause this sort of reactiveness, and your ego, you know, can cause that same thing. So how do you discard those things? And to me, this is part of when we say empty hand, the empty part is not just without a weapon. The empty part is getting rid of that stuff. That's the contextual framework that you're going to practice your karate. That's why your karate is going to be more evolved than just staccato robotic karate. It has a feeling. It becomes you, and you become it. You're not practicing a martial art. You're becoming a martial artist.
Right.
Do you follow that? Right. So what I would like you to just, you know, as you're thinking, meditating on these things, and in your own personal practice, try to say, well, wow, there could be a whole aspect of my training that I haven't ever even thought about because I've been so stuck in the physical part of it. And that's not bad. I mean, I love the physical part of my karate and all of our karate, and I strive to make that ever better, ever more precise. But wow, there's a whole other area that now can inform that as a type of sensibility, like a martial wisdom. It's like a layer. It paints a color on your martial art. Do you follow? So if you just get that, I think that would be one more layer in your training. Okay. So So it's not like when you first start practicing, you think of your technique as being an athletic thing, like a strength and speed related activity, but it's actually more subtle than that. It's more, I would say, like a heaviness and relaxation and using your body properly. So in that movement, in Jion, where you go from here to like that, what you got to feel is, well, you can start by just having your hand up here. Don't even use the stance. Have your hand up here and just let your body kind of, like this whole part of your body, just kind of fall and get heavy into your partner. So it's just from like here, that feeling. So it's not stiff. It's more like it's just settling in. So from here, just like relaxing. Then you can start assuming the kamae, like that, the stance, and the same idea, but it doesn't even have to be fast. So take the things that you think are a part of it, like speed, but later on it will be fast, but take that out right now, and the muscular strength that you think is so much a part of it, take that out right now, and just get the relaxed heaviness of the movement, so you feel the connection. So when I'm stepping in, it's like, that feeling. So I'm not bouncing off him. It's like all of my weight, kind of like finding the sweet spot in the tennis racket where just you feel everything is coming together at the right time. That's what you want. Then later, I'm not going to do this, I won't do it really hard, but later then you do interject the speed coming in harder. But for now, just get the heavy feeling, just get the feeling. Where nothing on my behalf is giving. The heaviness of my body is settling in, and it's like the energy is not on the surface, it's penetrating into my partner. So that's why he's moving and I'm not bouncing off. I'm just getting soggy and settling into the movement. And when you're doing the kata later on your own, you're going to feel, when it does that, you'll just feel it. Just like hitting the sweet spot. You're going to feel all of your heaviness and relaxation and the internal dynamic of your body sort of come to a crescendo right at the spot you want to hit on. But it's not about being tight. It's about sinking, feeling relaxed, kind of connecting your body so that everything goes that way. Okay? Try it again and just lightly tap your partner kind of slightly below the solar plexus so you feel that connection. Okay? One more time. Okay, another way maybe to approach it is because the whole focal point is that last little connecting element. And you got a lot of other stuff in the kata, for example, preceding that, because you're in this big expanded Sokomanuke and you're shifting to Kibadachi and you're making, so there's a lot of movement inherent there. But what you're really working on is the very last little increment of it. So what you might want to try is just do this, just kind of get to this very last little increment, just like from here to there, and just get that connection feeling, like that feeling. This is like, it's almost like if you were to take a hammer, like say I'm holding a hammer, and I hold it with my fingers, and and it's up against the wall, and I take it out like this, and I let it drop. And the heaviness goes dunk. Can you picture that? It's the relaxed heaviness of the hammer falling. That's sort of how your hand wants to feel, and that last little bit of the punch, like that. Like that. You get really tight, the same, just really just. So maybe start in a very short movement and get that heaviness feeling. And then start coming a little further out, and then later all the way to here, but, okay. But you want to accentuate just that last little bit, that heaviness going in like a hammer dropping. Okay, give it a try. But really small movement now. And that short, heavy dropping feeling, if you were to vocalize that, it would be like kind of like if you were to just go, that kind of feeling. It's very settled. It's not like that. It's like that feeling, very settled, and that vocalizing sentiment that you're sort of like trying to manifest in the feeling of the movement is really what the kiai ultimately does become anyway. So kiai should actually be slightly different for every technique because it's basically the vocalization of the kimochi, the feeling that you're experiencing. So every technique has a little different feeling, so every kiai has a slightly different resonance. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But just to kind of like in a practice, and to kind of really draw out the technique and make it a little slower, if you just get that sort of relaxed, like really slow, kind of like that feeling. just dropping. Now later what you're going to do is this little relaxed heaviness that you're getting with just the end of your hand, like that, you're going to start to put that in your whole body. So when I'm moving, that relaxed heaviness is all through my body. I'm trying to really be explicit there, but it's like a little bit faster would be. It goes all through your body, not just heaviness here, but through your whole body heaviness. That what you put right here just a second ago, you're going to try to get it in your whole disposition, everything. But start here first. Then work out, then more. Okay? Try it again. That feeling. When you try really hard, oftentimes it's your tryingness that's what's actually getting in the way. And what I like about that is that that's kind of like a metaphor for all of your living experience. And when you try to force an issue or control an issue, oftentimes it doesn't work. It gets out of your hands. So when I'm trying to punch with power and you get really tight and you're really intense, a lot of times that's the thing that's holding you back. Because to some degree, it's not natural. Like, think about always trying to find a movement that's natural. So when I just sort of let go and deliver the punch just with its natural heaviness, then it's, I'm not trying to force the issue. Then it starts to go my way. Or at least it goes where it's intended to go, okay? So sometimes we think of our training as building, but in many ways our training is discarding what you don't want and just finding the essential thing, the natural thing. Is the movement just naturally occurring? Am I just settling with my weight properly? Do you follow what I'm saying?
Oh.
So you want to try to somehow dial in that frame of mind where you're in this, you have intention, but you're in a neutral place that still allows things to happen the way they should in a natural fashion, not forcing. I think just living in general, that's a good way to approach. What I'd like you to do maybe for the next few times is don't do a defense. Just keep your eye up and move. Just move. Don't try not to. Right when you step in Kumite-dachi, your feeling is streaming towards your partner. That's the feeling. Okay. But what happens a lot of times is as soon as the guy makes an advance, your streamingness starts to get pulled into his movement. You go from here to being like that, and the technique takes on a reactive quality when it does that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even though you're the defender, you don't want to be necessarily reactive. When he's coming in, whatever he's doing, I'm coming in, I'm just, wherever, even if my timing is different, the feeling is still sort of essentially like on him. So, the feeling is on him. But I'm never like here. You understand? That's how when you do quick draw, that's why the guy always wins that has that feeling. He's not reacting. He's already on the technique. Before, I didn't realize this, because I trained one time with Hotton Sensei, and he said, can you feel it's over before it began? And that was a really cryptic thing that he said to me. But the more I thought about it, he was right. Because he was already through me before I even attacked him. He was not worried about what my technique was going to be. Do you follow? So when you're moving, you want to move in a way where you're already, even if you're going back, you're already mentally going in. Your feeling is already penetrating your partner. Okay? Give it a try. And then again, you don't want to be tight, because the tighter you are in your composition and your psyche, the more you're going to be butting up against something. So you're going in, but your body's relaxed. So then there's not a lot of crashing feeling, not only physically but psychologically. But you got to go. As soon as you sense his movement, you believe it. And again, I would say it's not robust in here. It's more like the feeling like sort of down in your feet. And it can be succinct, but it doesn't have to be like angered. It can be succinct but still relaxed. Okay. And still connecting to your partner. Okay? It comes up, and you're still exercising your connection. Okay? Let's just try that one a couple times. It's a good one to get the right feeling in my composure here. If I cut and my shoulders are down and my eye is forward, there's almost like a feeling going out into the bookend, like a big, that kind of cut feeling like that. Now, I think you would recognize that's a lot different than this. You just see it, right? This. This is psychologically tight, physically tight. Not that. Not that. Okay, so when you're doing this movement, and I'm watching you a little bit, when you go to halt your partner, you don't want to be like this. This is this with the sword. You see what I'm saying? Your shoulder has to be really low. Your hand is out, and your feeling is really going forward. So my feeling in my body is like holding the sword in that way. It never deviates from feeling that way. It never goes a little bit like that and then goes back. As soon as we engage, my feeling already is that way. Do you follow what I'm saying? And it doesn't necessarily even have to be strong, but it just is. As soon as we're moving, my feeling is centered, for lack of a better word. Okay? So when you're practicing, imagine that. Don't have your technique operate with an element of trepidation. Let it operate with your full being. Okay, your step. Like that's the only moment in your life that ever mattered. Okay? Thank you very much. Yeah. One way to look at the technique is not to look at the extremity, but what the core movement is. A lot of times people kind of neglect that idea, like what is the core movement? For instance, when you're making a reverse punch, a lot of times people are thinking about the movement in their arm, but the technique is more initiated through your core. Like if you're making a reverse punch, there's that feeling in your core first. You follow what I'm saying?
Nice.
That is actually the technique. I think that's actually more a part of the technique than, say, the pushing out of your arm. Like the core movement, that's, okay, so when you're making this technique, there are two kind of core movements. The front kick is this feeling. I'm kind of sitting on this, almost like I'm putting my rear end in a chair and kind of kicking forward. The second core movement is this feeling in my body. So if you want to maybe, when you're practicing, kind of think of the core movement, like the hip inflection. Hip inflection, kick. Okay? Like hip inflection, kick. But it's like, does that make sense? So these inflections in your center are more part of the technique than just the pushing out of your leg. Does that make sense? Give it a try and maybe just think about the very initiation of the technique. Okay. Your own practice will guide a lot of your training. Your reaction hand, the hikite, when it comes back, and you can practice this on your own and feel it. If I pull my hand back, the conventional way of pulling the hand back is straight down this track like that. Okay, so this is the action of the hikite. Okay, it feels pretty okay. But remember, I'm trying to really engage as much of my body, and I would really like my technique to always kind of go through my center. So I think of this space, everything really, like you think about a draw, I push out from that space. I kick, I'm trying to make an effort to get my foot in and out of that space. So when I pull my reaction hand back, if you pull your hand kind of into the midline of your body, and you can experiment with this when you're practicing on your own, but when you pull the hand back to the midline of your body, you can actually feel a deeper connection to your center. So this, for me, has more connection than this. You can almost see it. This is strong, don't get me wrong, and this is the convention. This is how most people pull the hikite back, but if you pull it back through this space, then you can almost use this hip movement to get it back. When I'm punching through that space and in, so kind of comes in and goes right through that area. Different. And that was just, lots of practice kind of teaches you that. And, somebody else might discover something different, and I always pay attention to those observations because longevity of, decades and decades of practice, people discover things. This is how the art evolves. But also, too, even if you think about, say somebody's punching me at the same time I'm punching, this hand now is like covering my center as I punch. You see that? Right? So if somebody's punching me, I'm retracting my hand through this space. I can actually deflect that technique. Like rising block coming to your hip goes this way to the hip. It doesn't go like this. So someone punching, still getting hit. Now I'm blocking. You see the difference?
Yes.
So yes, it has some practical applications in defense, but probably for me, more importantly, I'm making an effort to get my karate to go right through this space. Like if I gave you something really, really heavy, you would hold it right here. Your body knows that that's the space. Do you follow what I'm saying? So the technique goes right through that space as best as possible without deforming too much, but goes right through that space. So this hikite, boom, boom, boom. Let's give it a try. See, explore it on your own a little bit. Even if I pull my shoulder down and kind of tighten this side of my body, inherently, I still feel a big weakness right now in this place right here. But if you bend your wrist like that, if you bend your wrist this way, and I would say even just a little bit past the straight, there is a totally different connection in the hikite. And I think you would agree, you can feel that. You understand what I'm saying? So try it again. Go from a place that you don't want to be to a place that you want to be. Like that. So just like the movement has a feeling, also the static position has a feeling. Like in your back stance, like you're talking about, this leg has got like a feeling that's sort of sitting in it waiting to happen. This hikite has a feeling in it sitting waiting to happen. Do you follow what I'm saying? So when you step, like say I'm stepping uchiyoke, there is this sort of potential energy gathering, and there's this potential energy gathering. That's all kind of wound up, ready to launch. Make sense? So what you want to try to do is you don't want to go from these neutral spaces. You want to be like kind of in a place where everything just feels like its inclination is to go into the next technique. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so let's try it. We have to go that one more time. Okay, so go super slow. My hand's going to go over the top with my front foot moving over. Okay, so my hands are kind of going over the top with my front foot. Then the hands move to the side with the back foot going back. So that's a little bit of the timing of it. So but the feeling is when you're going back, you're going back and you're opening this up. Then all of this, that's the kick. Wherever, that's the kick. But this feeling of kick back, kick in. You see what I'm saying? So over the top with this, I'm like draping my hands a little bit, and then back. Okay? Give that a try. So make it really dynamic from the hips. Instead of my arms being really tight like that, okay, try to get your arms to be sort of like loose, like this is loose. And then in this looseness and this hip going back, I kind of drop my weight like that. So my arms are kind of floppy feeling. So even though I'm blocking with a certain amount of snap and kime, it's sort of very relaxed feeling in my body, not a very tight feeling. Say he's grabbing my wrist, and say I'm trying to push him down. If my arm is stiff, it's really hard to make him go down. But if I kind of create a weight in my arm, it's a lot easier to make him go down. It would be the difference between striking like this and striking like this. You see what I'm saying? We're going to do a wrist grab. What I'd like you to do is we're going to create like a wave. Like your arm's going to have like this kind of relaxed characteristic. And then just put the weight up at the end. You'll find that if you just try to push, you'll find exactly where to go against it. So you create like a wave. The arms are doing that. Strikes are doing that. Blocks are doing that. Kicks are doing that. Okay? So let's try the same side. Making a straight line movement. You're going to make like a wave in your body a little bit. I'm going to actually kind of start pressing in one direction and then kind of change it to the other direction. You follow? I don't want to say it's being sneaky, it's just applying a correct line of movement. Because if I make a straight line and he can find the space, like he can brace up against that. But if I make a slightly obscure, like a wave, he can't find that space. Does that make sense? Because my movement is ever-changing, and he can't keep up with that ever-changing line of structure. So what you're going to do is you're going to make kind of like a forearm block and sort of kind of get it going in this direction and then change it to the other direction. Create a little bit of a wave in your movement. Okay, and later, I think all your karate should have that kind of like wave-like movement in it. It shouldn't be straight and rigid. If it does, it starts to take that characteristic that people say looks very robotic. That's usually not so evolved karate that looks really robotic. Okay, but let's give it a try easily. Yep. Do the sweep part. So here you're going to make a crescent kick here, and then when I hook, you want to actually be hugging the ground, almost like kokutsudachi, but that way. And what you want to be careful of is that you don't relax your hips. So in the pull, I don't want my body to turn. You want your body to be anchored, and then the pull just keeps your shape. So a little bit, like when I'm in that spot, I'm really thinking about my center, like staying connected to my center. So there's not this thing going on. Does that make sense? Okay, let's get that guy. Pulling it straight back to its origin. So you're here like that, I'm just pulling it right back. It's like if I'm going in back stance, it's like there's back stance, this is returning. There's back stance, this is returning. I'm not doing that. And I'm not doing that. So if I don't anchor my core and I go to pull, my hip is going to loosen up in the pull. And I'm not turning away because that's really, it wants to consolidate back to my center line. So when I'm pulling right back into this space. Does that make sense? Right. So you're trying to get that like out, pull back. So just right back to that spot like that. Everything goes into your center, out from your center. Into your center, out to your center. There's a lot of squeezing. Gonna come in. Like, trick when you make Bushido Giri is you don't want to make a side kick out of it. You rotate and stop your rotation. So your body is basically belt pointing that way, kicking that way, with some bend still in your supporting leg. Okay? So a partner does that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, as he does it this time, I'm just going to drift back a bit and just both arms redirect his kick. So just make just a little space enough to be safe, and then I'm going to redirect this kick. So both arms have this motion. Then once you redirect this kick, you're going to make your kick. What I like is this transition to that. So it comes, and then okay, let's try using this. Kicks, okay, don't take too much time. Try to think almost like, so this is actually, like the block is the transition to the kick. If you wait too long and he lands, then he'll land and be able to block his technique a little better. So a little bit slower. So I want to try to make like a slingshot, like a pull snap. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So this power of your block is partly the pullback, which is partly the push forward. Okay. So still everybody's stalling out just a little bit, like 1, 2. Kind of wants to be like this. I'm pulling and kicking all all in one. This comes back, that goes forward. It's like that feeling. Right. A couple little things is when you do make the cut back in, kind of try to cut like right into his center. Like you're right, like almost bumping him from that space and maybe up a little. So you don't want to really go so much past your partner. But kind of try to deviate from the little center space and then cut back into the center space like that. Okay. So coming in here like that, pretty tight. Then this hand can either strike or sweep it. Okay. You can do it all in one movement where you're just sweeping. And when you follow your partner down, try to actually follow your partner down. So don't let them go and then you like disconnect. So try to, once you make connection to your uke, try to stay kind of connected to your uke. Without being, doesn't have to be really oppressive, just has to be like glue. Okay. So just stay connected. Okay? Right? Give it a try. And consider is never let your partner land their center weight. So I'm going to be actually in before Matt has a chance to kind of drop his center. Like once he drops his center, okay, and I'm here like this, you can still do it. Just you have to kind of cut in, kind of go up a little bit to uproot his center. So that's the effort. But if you don't do that and you're late and you don't uproot his center, then you're just pushing on a big old solid mass that's anchored itself. Does that make sense? So if you're a little bit behind in the timing, and you felt this inflection in his movement, in other words, he's dropped his movement, then you're going to have to actually bump him out of that space in order to make the takedown. But better timing yet would be never to let him catch the center space so that he's never able to drop. So I'm still making the diverting step, but before he gets to where he can drop, my arm is in the way. And so the frame of my body, it's not like I'm using my arm to stop him. I'm using this sort of structure, like this frame that I'm sort of anchoring, as just an impediment. So think about how can I put that frame on his advancing movement. Does that make sense? Like how do I get that to happen before he lands? So it doesn't have to be super, it doesn't have to be this like really kind of like, kind of thing. It doesn't have to be like that. Just kind of get the frame where you want it to be at the right time. Okay? Let's do that try. Try a little less. Thread attached to my arm. So when he starts to take a step, my arm is immediately into the movement. You understand what I'm saying? So my arm is like in the movement. So this is a barrier. Just like if I'm making examples, no, you're not advancing. That's the feeling. It's not like I'm reacting and hitting. It's like I'm just, as soon as I sense this movement, I'm stopping him with my movement. It's like just my response is like, no. So your arm being the furthest thing out, like that's the thing that's the boundary. If I'm punching, like I'm making yakusugi, the punch hand is a little bit ahead, right? But still driven by your center. So arm is right there immediately. So arm is right by. Okay? So that's Dance is kind of in a compressed transition, and my upper body is in a compressed transition, and then both things open up together. Like this opening is part of this down here opening, part of this upstairs opening. So stepping. Does that make sense? So try to get your lower body to the opening with your upper body. That feeling. Give it a try. Go from, say you're making forward stance step, like I'm coming to here and I'm finishing the step in forward stance. You want to actually, that's a pretty hard push, and it's not just a push like if you're going to half run facing, it's also a closed to open feeling. Like there's this, like your body is actually opening. Opening. That's part of the block, is the opening, like the pressure away. Almost like you're engulfed in a bubble and you're pushing against, from the inside, the surface of that bubble. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it's a push forward, but also a push open, like push open. So open. Okay? Right. The breath is your diaphragm is as you're opening, kind of going like you're connecting feelings. Like just say I had my hand on his body, okay, like that. I'm going to just compress my body. I'm not really pushing my arm out, I'm more just compressing. So it's like, picture if your body was really fluid, and if you push down, and this was a pipe going out, the fluid would eject out that way. Like if I had a balloon with a pipe, if I push down, the fluid would shoot out the direction. Does that make sense? So that's kind of a little bit also what's happening. Like there's your body's opening, but also in its openingness, it's compressing. In its openingness, it's compressing. So that feeling should be also in that feeling. Okay, now you gotta try with it.